welcome to Portsmouth Property Connect. Got some new faces in the room, some returning faces as well. Thank you for coming here today. I know the weather hasn't been the best, had a few cancellations and whatnot, but we're still going to make it worthwhile. We've got quite a bit of information to go through, and I think everyone can sort of chime in and give in a little bit of input. So, as I usually do, just going to talk a little bit about the Portsmouth property market and where things are at the moment. I'm going to speak about bank rate, inflation. I'm also going to talk a little bit about the autumn statement, about the permitted development that Jeremy Hunt was talking about. I did mention it last month, didn't go into it that much, but I'll speak a little bit on that. Then I'm going to speak about the spring budget as well, and the sort of things that have come through that. As I usually do, yes, I'm going to be talking at you guys, but I do need some feedback, so feel free to ask me any questions as I'm going on. I'm always going to be asking you guys questions. Don't be shy, speak your mind. We'll try not to get too political and go too deep into things, but yeah, speak your mind and just ask questions if there's anything that you wanted to know. All right, so starting off, by the way, I'm not being rude. I've just got to use my phone here. I usually use an iPad, but with the kids at home, they've got to have something because I've got the laptop. So, Portsmouth property market. Average price in property at the moment is £247,685. It's up 0.6% from December 2023 to January 2024. So on a month to month, as we can see, it's probably the first slight increase in a while, in a couple months. So this is the first increase in average property since September 2023. Property prices in Portsmouth have not seen any yearly growth in the last 6 months. So that's where we can have a look here. So no yearly growth in the last 6 months. But at the same time, it hasn't decreased significantly. Sales volume, this is always interesting to look at. Now, they've only gone up to November 2023. Just a few stats here. So it continues to drop from 151 sales to 109 sales in November 2023. Since the peak sales volume in March 2023, sales volume altogether has dropped by 50%. So that's the amount of properties that are actually being sold on the market, as accurate as possible in Portsmouth. Since 2021, March has always proved to be one of the busiest months of sales. So it'll be interesting to know if this month, where we are currently, is a turning point in property sales in the city. But then that being said, has anyone bought any properties recently?
Buying one at the moment.
Buying one at the moment.
I've sold and buying one, yeah.
Buying one as well? Yeah.
Slow.
Okay. Do you want to elaborate on that a little bit?
Just solicitors, searches. I think offer was accepted maybe 6 weeks ago. Still waiting for searches to come back. Okay. Just the process is a bit slower than what it has been previously. We struggled to sell our flat. It was just difficult. It's a 1-bedroom flat anyway, so I mean, you know, there's 3 of us in there, me, my partner, and a 10-month-old. So we had to get out sort of ASAP basically. But it was just. It was just difficult for somebody to buy. There's not a lot of first-time buyers out there.
Also got high interest rates at the moment.
Yes.
So then also on the buy-to-let market, high interest rates, rent is actually increasing quite a lot.
Yeah.
But the affordability on the buy-to-let calculators is still rubbish. So although the rates have come down the buy-to-let products, they're still using really high fees to then subsidise the difference they've got to make them attractive. I think the fees I'm looking at like 3 or 4 grand on top of the mortgage. On a 150k property.
Wow.
But it's the only way they can make the affordability stack by just having the big fees that you add onto the mortgage.
Yeah. Have you seen anything like that, Ali?
I know, I mean, ours is personal anyway, so it's not sort of buy to let, but I mean, you know, it's just sort of as standard as it comes, but I mean, I think my problem is just that people weren't wanting to buy it because they're being eliminated from being able to buy it, basically.
I think also a lot of people are still in the hype from COVID where in property prices were shooting up. So I think all the people that are selling are still got that false hope that actually 6 months ago or a year ago it was probably worth more. So they're now just hanging out for that for the higher value, actually, if you look on Rightmove, you'll see loads of property reduced recently.
Yeah.
And again, estate agents have been a bit naughty going in saying, oh, your house is worth X. Obviously, it doesn't sell, then they just lower the price a little bit to where it should be. They're trying to get people to put a house on the market.
But even though those prices are going to where it should be, I guess the buying market at the moment is still slow, regardless. Okay, interesting. Is anyone selling any property at the moment? Nope. Okay, cool. No problem at all. All right, so last month, I couldn't actually go over the February report because we had a presentation and it would have just gone on forever. So I've tried to merge the February report and the March report together. To be honest, not much really happened in March. It's not too much of a difference, but February, there were some interesting things in the report. So just to bring it back slightly, in July 2023, it was stated that the MPC forecasted a bank rate average of 5.5% over the next 3 years. So that's what they were saying last year, just to bear that in mind. So the bank rate is currently at 5.25%. This has been consistent since 3rd of January 2023. There's 9 people on the MPC sort of like voting board when they go through it every month. And then they basically go with the majority of votes to keep it, reduce it, or to push it up. In terms of March, so the MPC voted by a majority of 8-1 to maintain the bank rate at 5.25%. One member preferred to reduce the bank rate by 0.25%. I think last month it was 6-3. So 6 people wanted to maintain, I believe 2 people wanted to push it up, and 1 person wanted to push it down. So that being said, February, so again, it was maintained at 5.25%. Wholesale energy prices fell significantly last month. However, material risks remain, and this is still the case now, and has been the case for the past couple months, from developments in the Middle East and disruption to shipping through the Red Sea, which could significantly reduce energy supply from the region and further disrupt global supply chains for goods. We're going to speak a little bit more about this when we get onto inflation. The continuing relative weakness of demand leads a margin of economic slack to emerge where unemployment is expected to rise further. Yeah, so this is what they're saying in this report. Unemployment at the moment is currently at 3.9%. However, the Office of Budget Responsibilities have released a report. I think they released it on the 6th of March. They're saying it will go up to around 4.5%. Now, when it starts touching 5%, that's when people start to get a little bit worried. Budget of Responsibility have stated in their latest Economic and Fiscal Outlook report that in this scenario, quarterly inflation spikes back up to 7%. So that's if things got worse on the Red Sea. They're saying inflation could potentially go back up to 7%. If this was to happen, it's expected that there will be further increases in the bank rate. So what's happening on the Red Sea is really determining a lot. Obviously, you've still got the stuff going on with Russia, and you've got things going on between Palestine and Israel, which I believe the UN's now trying to step in and sort of bring that down. But then these things are going on and we can't ignore it because it's definitely things that are going to affect our market. Monetary policy will need to remain restrictive sufficiently long to return inflation to the 2% target sustainably in the medium term in line with the MPC's remit. So last month, I think I mentioned that I couldn't find any parameter for what the medium term meant, because you can say medium term, but it could mean anything. However, when I read through the Office of Budget Responsibility Economic and Fiscal Outlook report, which came out on the 6th of March, it mentioned a medium term of 5 years. So everything seems to go up to around 2027. Okay, MPC will closely monitor indications of persistent inflationary pressures and resilience in the market as a whole, including the underlying tightness of the labour market, wage growth, and services price inflation. So everything that the MPC is going to be looking at from now will be based on the tightness of the labour market, wage growth, and services price inflation. Okay, this is the Office of Budget Responsibility Economic and Fiscal Outlook. I can share this with you guys for you to have a look. It is a good document to sort of skim through just to see where things are in terms of the economy and what the Office of Budget Responsibility are looking to do. The Office of Budget Responsibility, though, and the MPC have different ideas of where the market could potentially go. The Office of Budget Responsibility forecasts a lower inflation than the Bank of England. So, looking here, we can see the difference. So, I believe the Bank of England, this is the Bank of England MPC, and that's what they're forecasting there. As you can see, they expect it to come down, but they expect a slight rise before it comes back down. And the OBR, the Office of Budget Responsibility, expected to go down first and decrease into 2025, and then for it to come back up and level out there. Triangulation is a really good thing to go by, where you're looking at 3 pieces of data to determine what could potentially happen. Fair enough, we've only got 2 here, but I try and pull together as much data as possible to sort of help an informed decision going forwards. The OBR expects wage growth to slow over the coming year, which may keep inflation higher for longer. So that's another thing to bear in mind as well. Wage growth plays a big part in everything that's going on within this recession that we're in at the moment. All right, let me bring this back on course. No problem. It's all right, man. It's not like we're at work here. It's cool. It's cool. It's cool. All right, so let me just bring this down actually to where we're at. Figure 1. Yeah. I know I've been seeing online where inflation is going down. Everyone thinks happy days. Inflation is going down. Mortgage rates and everything's going to go back to normal soon. You know, they're getting excited, but the truth of the matter is, there's still things that could potentially happen in this market that can shoot things back up. So last month, someone asked me what are sort of like my opinions and what do I think, and I said the main thing is I think they should at least leave it at 5.25% for the rest of the year, at the very least. If things do start to go crazy, that's when they might have to increase it, but I don't think they should be going down. And to be honest, I can see them doing that, reading these reports. I can't see them decreasing it if by a miracle, I don't know, these wars all of a sudden just stopped and wage growth started fixing itself, then fair enough. But at the moment, I really think 5.25% is probably a safe bet, and that's where we're going to be at for the rest of the year. CPIH, as I've been saying, is recognised to be the most comprehensive rate of inflation as it takes into account owner-occupier costs, which currently contributes 16% of CPIH. To be honest, I think it's more than 16% now. Because as you can see, owner-occupier costs, which is this line here, just keeps going up and up and up and up and up and up. So owner-occupier costs, just to remind everyone, includes mortgage payments, insurance, maintenance or renovation costs, estate agent fees, etc. So everything that's around that. Rents are more or less associated. It's not directly involved in owner-occupier costs because it's owner-occupier, but rents are associated. So as you could probably realize from mortgage rates going up, rents are also going to follow and go up as well. CPIH, 3.8%, down from 4% in January. CPI, which is what the MPC are sort of going by to determine where the bank rate goes, is 3.4%, which is down 0.6% from January. And owner-occupier costs is 6%, up 0.4% from January. Although CPI and CPIH have eased over the past 2 months, the key indicators of inflation remain persistently elevated. This is everything that sort of determines whether inflation is going to go up or down. The main reason why it's gone down, as we can see, is food and non-alcoholic beverages. Thing is with this, that I don't know if maybe someone else can sort of clarify it. I don't necessarily see food prices or non-alcoholic beverage prices going down. Is anyone seeing prices for anything going up? They notice their shopping going down in price? No.
I think given the small percentage point, like is 0.2% it's gone down, so you're looking at pennies, really, isn't it?
True.
So
that's very true.
and like if you shop on offers, you're going to get things cheaper than. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
I think like overall nationwide, that's probably true, but nobody notices it.
Yeah.
But you'll definitely notice if your household services go up 0.1%, won't you? Because on a mortgage, that's huge compared to packet of pasta.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. No. That makes complete sense, Alex. Thank you for that. So, that being the case, just as he said, you can obviously see that housing and household services has gone up. Now, 69% of that comes down to owner-occupier housing costs. 69%, more or less 70% comes down to that. So again, that's the mortgages, insurance, estate agent fees. I think you were talking about
Some lender fees.
lender fees. Yeah, exactly. That kind of stuff is contributing. Now, services inflation is another thing that everyone needs to be paying attention to. I believe it's here. And that's currently at 6%. So where you see it here, it is the highest it's been on average, because I think it's been averaging around 6% anyway, but it's the highest it's been in 32 years. Yeah, this is something really, really important to pay attention to. If we look at this graph here, as we can see, goods, I've spoken about this before, when that boat got trapped on the Suez Canal, goods just shot up, and then eventually they've been able to bring that down. But the black navy blue line, as you can see, is services inflation, which is just continue to go up. It's coming down slightly, but nothing significant. It's more or less staying around that 6%, 6.1%. So issues on the Red Sea have already caused shipping costs from China to have risen over twice the historical average. However, this result is still less than half than the cost during the pandemic, which was its peak, understandably, because nothing was happening then. Now, good thing that you can say when it comes to the services in terms of the UK. So the UK is one of those countries where majority of people are into selling a service. Rarely are we manufacturing products and getting it out there. It's all about selling services. So the UK is one of the most successful countries in export services. Digitalization makes trade in some respect easier with these services, and now the most export services are to the EU, which kind of makes sense. However, the struggles exist within the tight labor market, the lack of wage growth and the imports of goods. So, for example, shipping costs from China have already risen to twice its historical average. For example, I don't know if it's down to things like materials that you might need to go and do a project, for example, and that's just coming from China. China's probably one of the most, a lot of people say that's one of the cheapest places you could probably go and get these kind of materials from. But then straight away, it's doubled in price, more or less. So that's already making things tricky in terms of the development side of things, but that's just China, and that has to do with everything that's going on the Red Sea, because they're going to have to re-navigate to go around the war. I did speak on that last month. So that's China, but then I'm not sure what other countries are like. I think China's a very good one to highlight because, like I said, it's probably going to be one of the most affordable in that respect, but now that's doubled. So it's really something to pay attention to. When it comes to the labour market, and I'll speak on construction demands a little bit later. So firstly, when it comes to the labour market, it's important to understand the greater the amount and quality of human resources supplied to the market, the higher the potential level of GDP. However, this potential will only be realised if there's sufficient demand for these resources, which is derived from demands of goods and services. So demand is usually measured by the number of people who are in work, how much they work, and the number of unfilled job vacancies, which we'll speak on shortly, especially the conversation we were just having. Supply is usually measured by employment plus the number of people who are looking for work, unemployment. So I just wanted to have a quick discussion about this because this tight labour market is definitely having an effect on what's going on with the economy at the moment. So is there anyone in the room that's facing any issues with supply and demand within their work in general?
Yeah, trying to get staff is an absolute nightmare though.
So that's
Trying to get staff is an absolute nightmare.
yes, yeah.
Absolute nightmare.
In what respect?
Well, you advertise for jobs, no one turns up, or you do advertise jobs and people turn up and then they don't want to start. So yeah, it's just a pain. It really is a pain to be fair. There's too much choice at the moment, is my honest answer, not enough people. So the fact that unemployment's going up is surprising because there isn't enough people to do the jobs we currently need at the moment from my sake.
Do you mind me asking what kind of jobs you need at the moment?
Well, I work for quite a big German organisation, so everything, it's like from admin all the way up to sales staff, it's literally across the board. So there's...
You're talking about day job, like
Yeah.
Okay. That's interesting. I feel like the lower level paying jobs is where the struggle is at, big time. I think like the ones that are a bit more specialised, they're the ones where you've got a lot of people going for it, but there's only so much that people can take.
Yeah, for sure. It's something I've definitely experienced as well. So I've probably been applying for my Part 1 architect job for the past 2 months or so. But from what I see, there's very much a lot of people applying for the jobs that I'm going for as well. But I mean, I think everything remains the same as regards to like skill level and to do these sort of things as well. But yeah, there's definitely more people applying this year. I mean, just checking statistics really, there's more people entering that sort of course, which I don't know whether people are just more interested in the creative fields over the past few years. But
I think that's it, yeah, as well. Like our industry's been slammed, like you can't find an insurance person at entry level anywhere. And all the people that were there after the pandemic decided they wanted to do something a little bit more understandably colourful. Do you know what I mean? Like something that's a bit more fun. So I think maybe from the pandemic, just anything that's seen as boring might just be sort of falling by the wayside a little bit, and people are just doing anything else, even if it's just outdoors or something. But and then a lot of people in our industry as well just retired basically because they were like, well, you know, we're at the end of our career. There's no point hanging around waiting for this pandemic. May as well shut up shop. We've done well for ourselves. So those big bits aren't getting filled as quickly as they should be. And the entry level's just not there. So yeah,
I think COVID had a big shift of people's mindset, and actually it is,
100%.
do people want to be working 10, 11 hours a day in an office, commuting? And actually if you can't offer the hybrid working or the working from home, then people are more interested now in that, the work-life balance. And they're also happy to not work, and obviously because they're very well supported in the UK, aren't we, if you don't work. So on the low-level jobs, people can work like 8-9 hours a day, or they can not work and only be on 10-20% less than what they would have been if they were working. So again, I think people have that working sort of become optional now, because there is a lot of support. And I think since COVID, certainly the work-life balance people do favour. Like, and I think with like Instagram, the internet, people see that I don't want to work for anyone, I want to work for myself. But whether they've got that ambition, desire, skills to be able to do that, but everything seems attainable.
a warped perception of...
Yeah, I think it's very much so. Yeah.
The amount of freelancers there are now, I mean,
It's a great example. The amount of gurus, professionals you see. All these no money down stuff. Now I started with nothing. Now looking, I've got a Ferrari. And people don't see again if that is actually a true case of it. People don't also see it's not very easy to get that. But the gurus make it easy because you can sell courses. And like you said about selling services, a lot of people now want to become mentors, coaches. They want to be able to sell the dream.
Because they don't have enough of it. this.
And they rely on people that want to buy the dream.
Yeah, 100%. I think you've got to mention AI as well. I think that's a big part to play in regards to a lot of tech jobs. I think that sector has probably suffered quite a lot because, computerization can do a lot of admin work, I believe. And I think, it's definitely lowered sort of percentage of people going into that sort of field.
100%. And it's only growing. With AI, it's only growing. It's only just started. But what you were just saying there, I would even like to challenge to say, actually, there's a few things. So in terms of the people sort of buying in to do these courses, I feel like they're the kind of people that will go and do that rather than go and get those low-skill jobs when that's what they're sort of lined up towards. They might not have any qualifications or anything like that.
But also the people selling the courses don't have any accountability for what disasters they also throw. I've been involved in some courses where, there's a deal that, come on my training course, get a credit card, do the course, but you're going to be earning X amount. I think that's just a real lack of accountability and social responsibility on what they're actually asking people to do. I've been on the course where I'll quit, there's only 2 spaces off the back of the room and everyone runs back and you think, I've met quite a few people in my property journey that spent 20, 30 grand on courses and I'm like, should have bought a house.
It's such a grey area and it's not monitored, it's not
regulated.
It's not regulated. That's what I was looking for. It's not regulated. Anybody can do it, and I think that there's those who can't do teach right. There's so many people teaching and not enough people actually doing it, and those people that are teaching, they're teaching things that they're not doing right now, or they did 10 years ago.
People that might
you have people selling rent-to-rent courses with like 2 rent-to-rents. What makes them qualified to sell rent-to-rent courses? But they're very good salesmen, so that's the thing. It's selling
watched a bit of Wolf of Wall Street and stuff.
But not even that. I think I even know of a trainer who will get you to do those rent-to-rents and you get those 2 rent-to-rents, but now he's teaching you how to sell courses. So I think that in itself definitely takes a lot out of this low-skill sort of jobs, low-skill paid jobs. Another thing, I did want to bring this up, but I just didn't have enough time, and I think we're going through a lot today anyway, and I didn't want to be talking at you. 0-hour contracts have also gone through the roof. Now, with these 0-hour contracts, this allows people to go on those courses and still have paid work from something. So, for example, now you've got your Uber Eats delivery drivers or Amazon sort of jobs where you can just switch on your phone and pull up at Amazon, load it up, and then you're doing deliveries, All these kinds of jobs as well have sort of come in and taken over the market, which I think then pushes out, again, these low-skilled type roles.
That's the ones that have work-life balance as well, to people that say, I don't mind being up late nights, I'll go do delivery or whatever.
And they can rely in tomorrow morning.
They can be their own boss, essentially. I think people like that, the work-life balance.
So, I don't know, I think this is, these are all things that, I'm not saying in property, yes, you've got the courses and that sort of stuff, I'm not saying it's affecting the whole economy, but you've got these things like that and these 0-hour contracts. I did want to find more stats on those 0-hour contracts because I was just watching something and it kind of just pinged in my mind. That's another thing that's sort of taken away from it. Okay, so construction output. I just wanted to sort of mention this quickly before we move on to the autumn statement and the spring budget. Is everyone all right? Need a break or anything? We all good? Yeah? Cool. All right, so construction output is estimated to have decreased 0.9% in the 3 months to January 2024. New work has gone down 4.5%, but repair and maintenance has gone up 4%. So I did speak about this briefly last month. New work seems to be a bit scarce, especially the sort of things that we're talking about of what's going on in the market and people having new developments and that sort of stuff. But then repair and maintenance seems to be the direction where builders, tradesmen and everyone is getting their sort of line of work from. Just something to bear in mind. Housing repair and maintenance has grown by around 15% since 2021. All work has decreased by 2% from 2022 to 2023, where the largest fall of 1.3% was in Q4 2023. Obviously, you can definitely see this having a knock-on effect when it comes to the construction vacancies and that sort of stuff. And the construction vacancies and orders in general is a really tight market as well. There's not enough workers. The demand is obviously going down in terms of new projects and that sort of stuff, but there's also not enough workers there as well. So that's another thing that's struggling.
The government is planning to scrap the need for planning permission for property owners who want to convert a house into 2 flats, as long as there is no external changes to the property. From what was mentioned in the last meeting, if the property has been empty for around 3 months, permitted development is allowing these developments to take place, bypassing the local council. However, I just wanted to mention this, in Portsmouth we have the Section 257 properties, so we're literally opposite many streets that are like this, where you have a property that used to be a big house, but then it's been split into like 4 flats, maybe sometimes 5 or 6, which will certainly come into play with these properties. Phoebe did explain last month that she had a property that has been split into 2 flats, and she had a couple upstairs, a couple downstairs, but where they were married or they were like a proper couple, they didn't need a 257, but if they were sharing and they were unrelated, then she'll need a 257, falls into the HMO, additional HMO licensing regulations and that sort of stuff. So for anyone that might be looking into these kind of developments, just look into the Section 257, additional HMO licensing, space standards, all that sort of stuff is definitely going to come into play. It's easy to list the benefits here.
Can anyone think of the negatives of this? So if we had more of that going on in the city, can anyone think of any negatives that could potentially come with that? Just to be aware.
More parking issues.
Definitely.
People being creative and leaving places vacant for 3 months.
Yeah.
It's certainly interesting if you're going to buy a flat, leave it empty, or a house, leave it empty for 3 months. Like, oh, it's been empty, change it. So it's just a loophole to get around the development.
100%, especially where people are struggling to find properties at the moment to move into.
Especially like landlords or potentially struggling to buy or sell. So they might be looking at a house they've already got and then actually I'll get rid of the tenants and then you can convert it.
Yeah, 100%. Anyone else? Any other negatives?
I think it would be better for like families.
Yes,
Trying to move in.
100%.
It's more appropriate for like couples or like by yourself.
Yeah.
Yeah, so it can lower the supply of family houses. Now, the way I look at this is it will work well for large detached or semi-detached properties. I'm gonna act like I don't know the name of the road. There's a few of these in Southsea, big properties. St Andrews Road, yeah. There's a road. It's not too far from Victoria Road South, just down here. It's not too far, but they've got huge properties, you know? And I think in those sort of properties, it will work perfectly because to some degree, because those properties are so big, you can still fit families in. Some of them have got big drives, so parking won't necessarily be an issue. You could probably get maybe 3 to 4 cars in there. I feel like those are the houses that could probably suit this the most. However, these terrace houses, no way. And also it comes down to the space standards. I think that's one thing that the council here will be hot on. They've brought in the space standards to get rid of rogue HMO landlords who have got like student properties, you know, and they don't maintain or look after those. So the fact that people are going to come in and do that to terrace houses, I can't see that happening necessarily. But then, you know, there's some developers out there that don't really care. They haven't really got a mobile campus, so they'll just go ahead and do it.
Is that only commercial or is it residential?
No, residential.
Is it just residential?
Yeah. So permitted development with regards to commercial to residential conversions, I believe, still going on. If anyone wants to dispute that, that's still going on. Yeah, so that's still going on. But this is something that's just been brought in November. All right. So the spring budget. I'll just touch on this slightly. 3 main things with property: abolished furnished holiday lettings regime on the 6th of April 2025. So this removes tax advantages from those who let on a service accommodation perspective. This allowed for a wide range of benefits, including capital gains tax, costs, pensions, and furniture purposes. The purpose of these cuts is to level the playing field between short-term and long-term lets and support people to live in their local area. Now, Portsmouth, I know, is saturated with service accommodation. I know there's people in the room who manage service accommodation. However, nothing to be offended about at all. You guys are doing a great job regardless. I think there's definitely a demand for it at the end of the day. So, and you're doing it properly. There's a lot of people who aren't doing it properly. So that being said, how does this impact your business?
Assuming it does go through.
Yeah.
People that are affected most are people that own property in their own name. So that's still a proportion, but a lot of people are buying in companies anyway, so it makes no real difference to those guys.
Yeah.
The one thing that actually will affect people more than anything else is with the abolition of the capital allowance, what happens to the allowances you've already claimed, and what happens to what you've claimed but not transacted. So, for example, if you've claimed £100 worth of capital allowances and you've only claimed 60, well, once you've 40, assuming 40% off, but are they going to then try and reclaim the 60 grand back? No one really knows that yet. That's the thing I'm actually more concerned with, because that's particularly ambiguous at the moment.
So you'll say that's probably the most significant thing that sort of like comes out of this?
Yeah, well, it is, because we've had people claim £140 worth of capital allowances on properties, so it's a huge amount, and they pay a lot of money to do so because it's not cheap. Yeah, they're the people that are suffer the most. Some of our clients, we will obviously advise the clients to do it because at the time it's perfectly legal. Why not? If you can get 140k worth of capital allowance, why would you not? But obviously that's it's a negative. People coming new to the market, again, it's going to be a more struggle, but it's not particularly big drama for us. If I'm honest, there's a few clients that we will suffer, but most of them will probably be okay. If I'm honest.
Impacting more people buying in their own name.
Yeah.
As opposed to more, I would say, savvy.
Yeah, exactly that. It's the average 1s and 2s are the probably ones that suffer more. The people who are savvy investors will have bought them in companies anyway, so they wouldn't have really made much difference to them. So and they'll be like, okay, no problem. So.
And also, most rules, people that are doing it right usually doesn't affect that much. It takes a little bit off the profit, but actually, the people that are doing it right anyway, it usually.
To be fair, it's like, so obviously, a lot of people were, like 2 years ago, if you were going to buy somewhere, you probably would have bought your personal name, because the difference in mortgage costs was so dramatically different. You were paying probably, I don't know, 3.5%, 4% on your personal name compared to 8, sometimes 9 in a company. So it was a big chunk of difference. And we were probably advising clients to go at that point, why not? Because you're better off doing it. But that gap is reduced, to be fair, last year, so it's not as significant. So last year we probably said, well, you can, but it doesn't limit your flexibility long term, so you might as well buy a company and be done with it, so it cost.
So my question is this: does this level the playing field for people to be able to then buy? Like, is it going to allow people to come back onto the market to get these properties for them to live in long term?
Yes and no, to answer. I don't think that specifically will make a difference. Obviously, there's legislation coming in, more legislation coming in, probably from the licensing regulations. That'll be more of a.
Is there any update with when that's coming in?
No, still very much in discussion. I think that would be more of the drama. I think what it will do is stop people from buying new properties, is genuine honest. I think people, the ones that are there, as long as they run professionally, they'll get them licensed and they'll carry on. But I think it will be hesitant for people to buy and go into that market.
Probably push more people to the rent to SA rather than the purchase to SA.
Well, actually, you say that, but because there's been a lot of legislation and regulations around short lets and service accommodation, there's been a whole new fire regulations brought in back in the last year, which are affecting short lets much more to be compliant in line with how HMOs are operating, because the standards should be, they should be there for SAs, because they're operating, it's a hospitality business, they should be operating like hotels with the same health and safety standards, same fire regulation standards, and a lot of people aren't. There's a lot of cowboys who are just doing rent to SA, or just, you know, in general, people who are just doing it, cutting costs, and actually there's a huge health and safety aspect there. So I think off the back of the fire regulations, to the budget, and then obviously the new legislation that's coming in, it's going to drastically reduce the market of people either getting into SA, people who are in SA at the moment, saying actually it's not feasible, it's too costly. For example, some people who are doing rent to SA, they've got thousands of pounds worth of potential new FD30 fire doors to install, or making sure that there's smoke alarms that are all fitted in bedrooms, along with various other different requirements.
Alright, last bit I wanted to use this as a segue into us introducing each other to everyone in the room, and then we've got an hour or so of networking. Landlords are sort of like getting a bad rap. This is sort of a hard market to be in at the moment in regards to the economic climate, but also from a reputation standpoint as well. So, that being said, I just wanted to ask the question as we're going around and introducing ourselves of why you are into what you're doing, which is related to property. So, obviously, we've got architects doing it here, someone in insurance. So just speak about what it is that you do and why you do it and why property is sort of like the field. Now, like they've been saying, some people got into it for the money, and if it is for the money, just be honest, it's fine. But then if it is for the money and you have a reason behind that, just explain a little bit more and let people in the room get to know you a little bit better.